Dana White just announced that Khamzat Chimaev will be out until 2026, despite Khamzat saying that he wants to return in October in Abu Dhabi and actually give the fans what they want, which is a quick turnaround. No, Dana White announced Reiner De Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez, which pretty much confirms that Khamzat Chimaev will be out until 2026 without saying it, because now that Imavov and Borralho are also booked for September 6th, right? And Anthony Hernandez and Reiner De Ridder are booked for October 18th for the Vancouver main event. They are not going to turn around and fight Khamzat in 2025. It's just not going to happen. Borralho and Imavov, there's no way they're going to fight in September, and then in October, they're like, oh yeah, let me fight Khamzat on 3 weeks notice. It just ain't going to happen. They're probably going to get out there with an injury. But in this video, I want to talk about the matchup of Reiner De Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez. I want to talk about the matchup of Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho. And at the end of the video, I want to talk about who has the best chance to beat Khamzat Chimaev in the middleweight division. And you're going to be surprised at who I say. Not really, but let's get into this newly announced matchup, Anthony Hernandez versus Reiner De Ridder. I'm going to have to favor Fluffy. If you look at their most recent performances, Anthony Hernandez completely steamrolled Roman Dolidze and just made him look like he never grappled a day in his life. Dude, Anthony Hernandez drowned Roman Dolidze and made him panic tap in round 4, was eating his shots like Tic Tacs and just making it look easy. And Reiner De Ridder skated by a close decision against Robert Whittaker. Fair enough, it's Robert Whittaker, who's a lot better than Roman Dolidze, but he still got dropped really bad in that fight, and Reiner De Ridder slowed down a lot in that fight towards the end. He was spamming knees in the clinch, which people were saying could be a problem for Anthony Hernandez because he's a smaller middleweight. They're saying that Reiner De Ridder, the Dutch kickboxer, is going to spam them knees on Anthony Hernandez's body, and he's going to make him shell up and TKO him. I don't see that happening, man. This ain't the Anthony Hernandez who fought Kevin Holland way back when. This guy's an absolute savage, a beast. He has the best cardio in the division, and ultimately, I think that's what's going to carry him to a win over Reiner De Ridder, is his cardio. Reiner De Ridder is a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but being that he cuts a massive amount of weight to make 185, this guy walks around at 225, so he's cutting 40 pounds to make the weight. There's a trade-off. Your cardio isn't going to be as good. That's just a fact. Your body's not as hydrated on fight night. Anthony Hernandez is basically a natural middleweight. This guy barely cuts any weight, so he's going to be a lot smaller than Reiner De Ridder, but the trade-off is this guy's going to have nightmare cardio. This guy's the Marab of the 185-pound division, and I can see a world, and this is what I'm going to predict, where Anthony Hernandez drowns Reiner De Ridder in the later rounds, and he either submits him or TKOs him due to Reiner De Ridder just being so tired, where Anthony Hernandez just takes over, and my boy Fluffy will seal the deal, because let's be real, he most likely is going to be next for Khamzat over any of these other guys if he beats Reiner De Ridder. But I think that Anthony will get it done against RDR in the main event of Vancouver. Very good main event for Canada, by the way. They don't get screwed this year with WMMA as they always do. But let's get on to Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho, which is scheduled really soon. It's in a little bit under 2 weeks, right? They're going to be fighting on the 6th in Paris. Imavov versus Borralho. Now, who do I think wins this fight? You know what? I do think he's overrated, but I'm going to go with Caio Borralho because I also think that Imavov's overrated. That's right. Unk is on fire. He's calling everybody overrated, and I don't give a rat's ass what you guys think. They're overrated. Get over it. Either way, Caio Borralho has not fought since August of 2024, so by the time he fights, he'll be out for 13 months. Not sure why this guy's been so inactive. He's been talking a lot on the sidelines. He's been out there on Twitter a bunch, but he can't seem to get in the cage more often. Nassourdine Imavov in February in Saudi Arabia knocked out Israel Adesanya. Very good win, but I'm going to be honest, man. I think Caio Borralho is going to get Nassourdine Imavov. As much as Nassourdine has been getting good wins, I'm still not impressed, and maybe I'm just a French hater. I'm not a fan of Cyril Gane, I'm not a fan of BSD, and I'm not a fan of Imavov. Maybe I'm just a French hater, but I'm just not impressed with Imavov, man. What does he do great? Does Imavov strike amazingly? He has good striking, but it's not amazing. Does he grapple amazingly? He has good grappling, but it's not amazing. He has good BJJ, but it's not amazing. And I just think you need to excel to beat a guy like Caio Borralho, who doesn't have as good of striking as Imavov, but he has good enough striking to hold his own in the stand-up. And I think if it hits the ground, Borralho is going to show levels. I think he's going to out-grapple Imavov, and I just think that Caio Borralho is going to win a decision over Imavov. I think Borralho also has the better gas tank. He lacks a little bit in the striking, but what he lacks for in the striking, I think he'll be able to out-grapple Imavov. I do think he'll be able to get Imavov to the ground, and it's going to be interesting, man. I know Imavov has wins over Cannonier, right? He has wins over Brendan Allen, and he has a knockout over Israel Adesanya. But even with those 3 wins, I'm not impressed with either of these guys, man. And maybe that's just me holding the middleweight division to such a high standard with Dricus and Khamzat and all these other guys that have been around for a while, right? Do I think these 2 guys would beat Strickland? Yeah, they probably would, but Strickland sucks too. Like, I'm just going to keep it real, man. These guys are overrated. Like, what has Imavov done to make this guy look like he can touch Khamzat Chimaev? Nothing. But I do think that at the end of it all, Caio Borralho will get it done. He's going to beat Imavov, and it just depends out of him and Anthony Hernandez or RDR. Who has the best performance, Dana White has pretty much confirmed, is going to get the next shot against Khamzat. But let's be real, as I said, none of these guys are going to be fighting Khamzat in Abu Dhabi in October. That would be way too quick of a turnaround. If you're fighting a beast like Khamzat Chimaev, no way you have a short training camp. You're going to get absolutely fried. This guy has the best wrestling we've ever seen in the sport. You 100% need a 12-week training camp. So, yeah, no matter what, Khamzat Chimaev will be out to 2026. But now I want to talk about who beats Khamzat Chimaev out of these guys. And if I'm being honest, I think the only guy who stands a chance is Anthony Hernandez. But let's start with Nassourdine Imavov. I think Nassourdine Imavov has the lowest chance to beat Khamzat Chimaev. I think Nassourdine is 90% Khamzat, 10% Imavov. Listen, dude, at the end of the day, Nassourdine Imavov is Marvin Vettori with buff stats. That's just what he is, right? He's a Marvin Vettori if Marvin Vettori had good like stats everywhere, but he just doesn't, man. Nassourdine Imavov has good striking. He has good grappling. He has good BJJ. He has decent cardio. But where does he excel? I'm sorry, but if you're going to beat Khamzat Chimaev, you have to be amazing at least one area. Or you have to be amazing in all areas. You have to be well-rounded like a Dricus, maybe with better takedown defense. And he's not, man. Imavov's not dangerous enough to beat a Khamzat Chimaev. He can't submit Khamzat. He can't stop his takedowns. He can't knock him out because guess what? There's no knocking out Khamzat Chimaev. He's going to sprint across the octagon, and unless Imavov lands the luckiest flying knee of his entire career, Khamzat's going to take him down and submit him easily in the first round. So, yes, I think Nassourdine Imavov out of these 4 guys has the lowest chance. I put it at a 90% Khamzat, 10% Nassourdine. Let's get on to Caio Borralho. What does Caio Borralho do? Well, he has a lot better grappling than Nassourdine, and we've heard that Caio Borralho in some training sessions has held his own against Khamzat in the grappling. Now, as far as striking goes, his striking, he's not the most powerful guy in the world, right? He dropped Jared Cannonier and knocked out Paul Craig, but it's not like Caio Borralho is Francis Ngannou at middleweight. It's just not. So Caio Borralho, if he were to beat Khamzat, it would probably be locking up a slick submission against Khamzat. I don't see that happening. If I had to put odds on this fight, I would say 78% Khamzat, 22 Borralho. Maybe that's generous. Maybe 85-15. I still think that Khamzat would run through Borralho and likely submit him in a round or 2. I think people are overestimating like how boring or dominant Khamzat will be in his title fights. I think he's going to finish a lot of these guys, man. He's not going to be squeezing out decisions. Listen, DDP was on an 11-fight win streak, right? And he's never been submitted. So people are giving Khamzat a lot of crap for not finishing him and doing what he did into the 5th round and not finishing the fight and beating DDP by decision. Fair enough. It wasn't a barn burner, but I think he finishes Nassourdine Imavov. I think he finishes Caio Borralho. Now let's get on to the more close matchups with Khamzat. Reiner De Ridder. I think Reiner De Ridder is 70% Khamzat, 30% Reiner De Ridder. Reiner De Ridder has the most dangerous striking out of all these guys, I would say, just because the knees up the middle, that big knee can hurt Khamzat. He also has the most dangerous grappling out of all these guys. This guy is a bona fide stud on the ground, and he's a massive middleweight, so he has better grappling than Dricus Du Plessis, better takedown defense, and I think he's even bigger than Du Plessis, which is crazy to say. This guy's a massive middleweight. He walks around at 225 pounds, and Reiner De Ridder is a seasoned vet on the ground when it comes to grappling. Now, his takedown defense, he did get taken down easily by Bo Nickel, and I do think Khamzat's wrestling, in MMA at least, is a lot better than Bo Nickel's. So I do think that Reiner De Ridder will get taken down in the fight right away, pretty much. I think Khamzat's going to do the same thing he did to DDP. He's going to go across the octagon. He's going to take Reiner De Ridder down. But if Reiner De Ridder can do the same thing as Gilbert Burns, where he has a dangerous guard and he shows Khamzat Chimaev, hey, you're not just going to bully me on the ground and I'm not just going to accept it like DDP did, then maybe Khamzat is forced to stand up with this guy. And I do think Khamzat's a little bit better of a striker than Reiner De Ridder, but man, RDR can make something happen in the grappling against Khamzat. Listen, the small amount of time that DDP was on the feet, Mr. Looney Tunes 2.0, he was he hit Khamzat a couple times, especially in that 5th round. So I wouldn't put it past Reiner De Ridder to land some gnarly knee to the body or big overhand that drops Khamzat. But with that being said, I think Khamzat takes RDR down, and probably, honestly, RDR is probably the only guy where Khamzat will take him to a dominant grappling decision and maybe not be able to finish him just because RDR is so skilled on the ground. I could see that fight going to decision. And last but not least, Anthony Hernandez, who I think has the best chance to beat Khamzat because of his cardio, because of his grappling skill on the ground, and because I think he can match, I won't say he can't match the wrestling of Khamzat. He cannot match the BJJ of Khamzat, but Anthony Hernandez can, I guess, push Khamzat more than these other guys can because his cardio is so good. He's not going to be like Dricus du Plessis, right? Anthony Hernandez, where he's just like letting Khamzat ride him on his back and just kind of sitting there. Anthony Hernandez is going to fight out of positions. He's going to make it hell for Khamzat on the ground and be attacking submissions the entire time. And if Khamzat makes a mistake, who knows? Maybe Anthony Hernandez latches a submission of his own. If I had to put it into a percentage-wise, I would say Khamzat Chimaev 65%, Anthony Hernandez 35%. Listen, Fluffy is one of my favorite fighters, but honestly, guys, I think Chimaev is borderline unbeatable at middleweight, especially if he takes the same approach he did against DDP. I still think he finishes Borralho and Imavov quite easily. Against RDR and Fluffy, it would be a lot harder to finish these guys just because they're a lot more skilled on the ground than Borralho and Imavov are, in my opinion at least. And Fluffy has amazing cardio. So all in all, I do think Khamzat Chimaev beats all 4 of these guys, no matter who wins their fights. I do think he beats them all. But the toughest matchup for Khamzat is 100% Fluffy Hernandez. Then it's going to be Reiner De Ridder, then Borralho, and then the pipsqueak at the end, Imavov. I think, guys, I cannot stress this enough. Khamzat Chimaev makes Imavov look so insanely easy. He submits Imavov inside 2 minutes and makes it look easy. Guaranteed if that's the next fight. If Imavov somehow beats Borralho, Khamzat Chimaev will make light work of him, and it'll expel all the boring rumors. But with that being said, I do give Fluffy the best chance to beat Khamzat Chimaev, and I do think Fluffy's going to beat Reiner De Ridder in Vancouver. And I will say, as much as I am not a fan of Imavov, if he does beat Caio Borralho and Anthony Hernandez were to beat Reiner De Ridder, I do think you have to give the Khamzat fight to Imavov, being that would be his 4th top 10 win, and Anthony Hernandez would have only had 2. So I do think Imavov has more names and he deserves a title shot more than anybody else, especially if he beats Borralho. I just think he has the smallest chance to beat Khamzat, which is why I'm not too flattered to see him get a title shot next, but he would have earned it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you guys think beats Khamzat Chimaev? I don't think any of these guys do. It's going to take a light heavyweight like Ankalaev or a guy with amazing grappling to beat Khamzat Chimaev. Otherwise, he's just going to sprint across the octagon, take these guys down, threaten submissions, ground and pound, fight safe if he even has to a decision, and none of these shown he can do that. But one last thing I want to say about a guy like Anthony Hernandez and why I think he might be able to test the cardio of Khamzat. Khamzat Chimaev did not get tired against Dricus du Plessis because Dricus just accepted position and Khamzat was just able to make him hold all his weight and not really expend any energy. Anthony Hernandez is not going to accept position. Neither will Reiner De Ridder. These guys are going to be attacking submissions, fighting to change position the entire fight, and they're going to be fighting to get back to their feet. DDP kind of just accepted and got big broed. I don't see that happening to Fluffy or RDR. I think there will be moments on the feet for both of them, and we'll just have to see what happens. I do think Khamzat beats all these guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think has the best chance to beat Khamzat Chimaev?